We also provide you license system access. It's our own license system, which where you'll have administrative access. If you're joining any of the training, it's our SAC training, it's a Datasphere, Signavio. I can open more system, which is not maybe relevant in this call. But yeah, the people who are from data analytics domain, and we will soon be starting BDC training as well. We are already in touch with SAP for system access, allows you for BDC training as well. Yeah. So today's session is on business data cloud, and will be look into some challenges in enterprise and how BDC came into picture. Yeah, some key value proposition, architecture of BDC, SAP's strategy behind BDC, data products, some foundation site SAP which are there available in BDC. You should know and understand about it. Role of Databricks, role of Datasphere, role of SAC in BDC, and then maybe a product walkthrough. Ram would give it to you so that you can correlate a bit.
So BDC is the recent grand launch from SAP, right? And everyone is going crazy with BDC, and then they have a couple of events lined up coming up for from SAP. So one of the big events coming up in May is SAP Sapphire and ASEC, which is happening in US also as virtual thing, right? So all the talks are around Business Data Cloud, which is BDC, and then about Joule, which is their AI copilot, right? So these are the two big things SAP is targeting this year and the years coming forward, right? So one of the very first questions I get asked from people is, how is it different from BTP, right? So there is a confusion between what is SAP BTP and then what is SAP BDC. So I'm skipping the part about me. So I am a data architect. I have 15 years of experience. I worked in a lot of SAP and non-SAP data analytic tools. So I'm skipping that. So it's anyway part of the slide here. Right. So coming to the first thing I get asked around is, what is BTP and what is BDC? How are they different? Right. So BTP is the cloud platform where we go ahead and we create any services that we need, and then we build cloud applications and web applications, mobile applications, and so on. So it's a pure cloud platform, just like GCP, AWS, or Azure. It's another cloud platform from SAP, right? So it's separate. Whereas BDC is now their data fabric. So far, SAP had different attempts at creating a data fabric layer. So they had, some integration suite, and then they had a couple of products like BODS and couple of integration products, etc. They were trying their hands on many things, and the recent release from SAP is SAP BDC, which is a SAP's attempt at building a data fabric, right? So now let's go into the challenges that any modern enterprise face and why, this will enable us to understand why BDC, right? So the first thing is, the data is fragmented, right, across multiple systems. It can be SAP systems like S4 HANA, SuccessFactors, and so on, or it can be non-SAP systems also. So in an enterprise, very large enterprise, there will be multiple systems where the data is, and those data needs to be reported on, right? So it is fragmented. And then it is also siloed because the multiple systems can be running in different places, different servers, etc. And integrating them can be quite challenging because different systems use different protocols. Some you have to connect through OData, some you have to connect through APIs, some you have to connect through RFCs, and so on, right? So the integrating them is not that easy. And also, if you use some traditional data integration tools or ETL tools, you lose the context. You can copy the data. So for example, I have one table, I can connect and copy the data from that table. But in the source system, that table has some semantics. That table is connected to other tables. It has some relationship and so on. But basically, by using a random ETL tool, we are losing all that semantics. So what happens after the copy? We have to build all those semantics, right? So that is time consuming and costly. So the project will run into multiple months, and then you have an implementation team, and they are going to get paid, and it's going to be a costly affair for the customer. And also, because the data is fragmented and because of all these complexities, the customers are missing out on a solid foundation where they can build and deploy AI agents. So this is a year, and couple of years have been crazy around Gen AI. And this is a year of agentic AI, right? So for everything, people are building agents. So in enterprise side also, if the customer want to build agent, or even SAP wants to build some agentic workflows, the main thing that they need is a unified data foundation or a data fabric where the AI can access any system in the enterprise, any data in the enterprise, so that it can perform its roles, right? So these are some challenges that are out there in the open. And because of this, any questions, or please be on mute. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So because of this, SAP launched SAP BDC. So it was launched in Feb 13th last month, right? And they are targeting for onboarding customers from April. So if you are from a customer and you are interested in getting BDC, you can get in touch with SAP and they can onboard you as soon as April, right? So what is BDC? Right. So BDC consolidates. So BDC is a SaaS solution, it's software as a service solution, and it brings together some of the existing SAP tools like SAP Datasphere, SAP Analytics Cloud, and SAP BW, right, Business Warehouse. And the SAP has also partnered with a third-party software provider called Databricks, and we will talk about the different roles of all these softwares. So SAC and now BDC is a bundle of all these things. And what it tries to do is it tries to give you access to out-of-box integration to all your source systems. And also it enables pre-built insight applications and pre-built data packages. So all this sounds like okay, but we'll go into the details of what are these pre-built insight applications and what are these pre-built data packages and how are SAP bringing together all these analytic solutions. On a high level, BDC is also a SaaS solution, just like Datasphere and SAP Analytics Cloud and any other cloud solution out there, right? So any questions? Yeah, I see one hand raised. Tanvi?
Yeah, I have one question. This is Tanvi. So already we are working on Datasphere, right, with SAP Analytics Cloud. So we have different integration systems like suppose S4 HANA, ECC system, some Excel file uploads, success factor. We are doing modeling in Datasphere and taking data to SAC. So apart from this integrations, what other like features this BDC provides? Because already we are doing these integrations and
Yeah.
doing mod because it's entirely kind of BW modeling in
Okay.
Datasphere.
I got your question. So we will cover that. So the power of BDC lies in, yeah, what you said is very true. The power of BDC lies in reusing the Datasphere capabilities, like the data products, the integration, replication flow, and all that is being reused in BDC. But the power of BDC, or the value, that key value that BDC brings to the table, is with the insight applications and the data packages and the Databricks integration. So we'll see that what are their roles and what are they. And if you still have the question at the end, we'll go to the Q&A.
Sure,
Right?
thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we'll talk about this key value propositions at the end after we discuss a little bit about what are the architecture and what are insight apps and what are data packages. Till then, I'll please hold on to your questions. We'll take it at the last in essence of time, as well as most of the questions will be answered, I believe. So please be with me. Right. So this is the BDC's high level architecture, right? So BDC has something called as a foundation service. So this is something unique that BDC brings to the table, right? So what does this FOSS or foundation service does is it takes care of data acquisition, it takes care of data transformation and curation, it takes care of deltas, it takes care of data storage, and it takes care of replication and so on, right? So far, yes, we had business content in Datasphere as well as in Analytics Cloud, but those data, those business content you have to activate, and then you have to do several configuration steps. Like you have to go maintain connection details, you have to go and maintain, you have to trigger some jobs, and you have to create some replication flows and all that. But here it's more streamlined. So we'll see all that. But this is the high level architecture. So it brings together a new interface, which is called the BDC Cockpit, which is a new interface for BDC, in where we go and we administer the insight applications and data packages. We'll see that screen now. And then it banks on the existing SAP Datasphere and SAP Analytics Cloud. So in SAP Analytics Cloud only, we'll see the stories that gets deployed as insight apps. And in Datasphere, we'll see all the models and data products that's getting deployed. And if we want some custom AI ML workflows where the standard data products are not enough, we want to do some enhancements. We want to write some Python scripts or SQL scripts and do some AI ML workflows. Then we go to Databricks, which is called the Pro Code Data Engineering Scenarios, right? And if you have a SAP BW and you want to save those investments, then there is also SAP BW modernization path in BDC. So these are the big pieces, right? So Analytics Cloud, Datasphere, Databricks, BW modernization, and its own interface, which is called the BDC Cloud Cockpit. And then there is a service, which is the foundation service that powers everything. So that's the architecture. Again, I'll skip this part, BDC components. We'll come back to that. So we keep talking about this data products, right? So what are these data products? Is this something new? No, if you are from SAP Datasphere, you might already know this. What are data products, right? So they are self-contained business data sets, right? So they are not business content, they are business data sets. They also have the structure as well as they also have the data, right? So there are different types of data products. So the first type being the ones that are delivered by SAP, right? So they are pre-built by SAP and they have focus on some ERP or LOB level applications, and they are given to you by SAP. And then the customer themselves can build their own data products in the Datasphere system. And also partners who are SAP partners who are part of the data marketplace also ships some data products and customers can buy that. Right? So these are the data products and it's always existed on Datasphere. Now in BDC, what happens is they have one more layer, abstract layer on top of data products, which is called data packages. This is nothing but a collection of data products. So for a particular scenario, say for example, working capital management, you need to activate several data products. So all of that SAP has combined into a data package. So we'll see what is a data package in the BDC cockpit, but on a high level, it is a collection of data products. And then we are talking about insight apps. So what are these insight apps? Again, so insight apps are nothing but, there are two types of insight apps. So far, SAP has only released and talked about the low code insight app, which is nothing but SAC stories, SAP Analytics Cloud stories. Right. So when you activate or install an insight app, you get the SAC stories, you get the Datasphere analytic models, and then you get the replication flows, which get data from S4 into Datasphere and so on. So end to end, you get everything. So when you install, you can just go to SAC and then you can start using the story. There is no, nothing you have to build on your own. So everything is pre-created and delivered by SAP. And in the future, SAP has also said there are some pro code insight applications that will be made available where the customers can work on building CAP applications out of the insight apps. And currently they have around 30 plus insight apps that are delivered. So I have put some example insight apps. So there is a working capital dashboard, which is for the finance. And then there is people analytics, which gets data from success factors. And then there is spend analytics, which gives you a comprehensive visibility of all your spends. And there is also some supplier relationship insight app. So there are currently 30 plus insight apps and they keep growing. So I have only listed a few examples here. Now we'll come to all this. So it's going a lot of theoretical, right? So I'll just show you the screen first so that we just don't keep speaking, but you will also see how that BDC looks like and so on. So far, there is no trial instance available, right? So trial instance or even a paid instance available. So we couldn't show you the actual screen, right? So which we very much like to show you, but no one could get that, right? So SAP is working on giving those systems out. So once we have it available, we'll get one system and then use the real system. But for now, I'll take you through this product tour, right? So which is the exact BDC application. This is how the application looks like. So this is the screen, which is called the BDC Cockpit, which is the new interface that SAP has released. So if you have worked in SAP Datasphere or Analytics Cloud, you know there is a button for product switching, right? So now if you have BDC also, when you click the product switcher, you will see three options there. So one will be BDC Cockpit, one will be Datasphere, and one will be Analytics Cloud. Right, so this is the BDC Cockpit. And in this, if you see, there are some things like this in pink, right? So which are all the insight applications. And then we have some things in green like this. They are all data package. So we'll see what is insight app, what's data package, and how to activate them and so on. So now we are in a catalog or the marketplace where you can find or discover all this insight apps and data packages, right? So here you can search for your insight app that you want. For example, here is an insight app for working capital management, right? So you go inside that insight app, and then it gives you a documentation. So it says, what all you get from this insight application. So it says the insight application includes Datasphere and SAC Cloud content for working capital dashboard for S4 HANA, right? So you get this SAC story, and you get the Datasphere analytic model, and then you also get the replication flows that load data from S4 to the analytic models and all the tables in the Datasphere, etc. So is this the same business content that was available in SAC? Yes, in SAC there is still a business content package, which is called working capital management, which has the same dashboards and so on. But in SAC, there are several steps that you need to do manually, which will be avoided in BDC. So that is the documentation part. And here at the bottom, it shows what are all the data products that are part of this insight app. Right, so there are about 30 data products. Most of them are master data, and then there will be some transaction data also. So you will get an overview like this, and then once you have read the overview, and once you are happy to install it, so you can go back and you can click this install button at the top. That will start the installation procedure. So when you start that, it will ask you a couple of things, right? So one is, it will ask you which source system you want to connect to. So we'll talk about how the system understands all your source systems and how how does it know your SAC and Datasphere and so on. We have some content on how the system setup works. But for now, assume that the BDC knows your entire system landscape. So it knows all your source systems, it knows which Datasphere to use, it knows which SAC to use, and so on. So that's what here it is showing. So it will always have a one-to-one mapping with a BDC and a SAC tenant. So you cannot have more than one SAC tenant, you cannot have more than one BDC tenant. And that's the reason these are not selectable options, but they are just displayed to you so that you understand what is the space that is going to be used in the Datasphere and in the SAC side. Whereas the source systems, you can have many source systems connected, right? So you can have many S4 systems connected, you can have SuccessFactors systems, etc. So you can select the source system from which you want to get the data, and then you can click install. So when you click install, it takes some time, and then the status will change to active. So yes, so that's the part where we are doing in the BDC Cockpit. Right? So the Business Data Cloud Cockpit, which is a new tool which you haven't used so far. And now once the system says the insight application is active, you can go into Datasphere. And when you go into the Datasphere catalog, you can search for the working capital, whatever insight app you install. And then it will show all the data packages. So we saw there are 30 data products inside that insight app, right? So here, if you come and search inside the Datasphere, and when you search for the working capital, it will show all the data products that were part of that insight app, and it will show the status as active. Okay. Now you can go inside it, you can read all the details about it, and you can find out here also an install button. So what is this install button and why do you require this install button? So if you go and say install, here it asks you for a connection. Again, you are not creating this connection. It is basically a connection which is already there in a space. And you just have to select a space where you want this target data product to be active. Right? So when you go and say next, and this has been streamlined now, so you don't have to do this. So when you install the data product from BDC, there is a special space called ingestion space. So the data products will be automatically installed in that ingestion space to avoid the same exact steps. But I mean, this product documentation or the store is little old, so it is not showing that. So it might look redundant to you. So you might be feeling like, why should I install in the cockpit and again come here and again install it? So this was the previously, this is how it looked like. So you install it and then come here. And then if you want to install the data product in specific spaces, you can click install. So once you install in one main space and then you want to share it to other spaces, again, you can use the share option and you can share that as well. Right? And that's it. So your data products will be active. And this is the advanced workflow. So when you want a data product to be enhanced, right? So if you want the out of box data products as it is, you want to use it, then you can go ahead and use it in Datasphere or use it in SAC Analytics Cloud, and you can go ahead with your workflows. But sometimes you might want some enhancements to the data product. Right? So you might want to create some Python logic, or you might want to run some SQL to do some extra data engineering. Right? So in that case, when you go to this triple dots, you will see an option called Open in Databricks. Again, depending on this type of setup you have done in the BDC, if you have also set up the Databricks, then you get this option. So when you click Open in Databricks, a Databricks interface like this opens up, right, where you can find your data product. And that data product, you can go ahead and you can enhance, right? So here you can create Python notebooks or SQL scripts, right? So you can create a Python notebook, you can put in your AI, ML, whatever logic you want, right? So it works based on PySpark, right? So you can write your PySpark ML algorithms and you can train a model, you can test the model, and you can predict with that model and so on, right? So here they have selected some model and they are trying to train that model. Right? So once all that is done, it's a full-fledged Python notebook and a Python interface. So if you are familiar with Python, this is a Jupyter notebook, right? So you can do all the things that you can do in a typical Jupyter notebook, and you can switch between Python and SQL also. So if you see here is a block of SQL code they are trying to run, right? If you just start a line with %SQL, which is a Python magic command, Jupyter magic command, then you can run the SQL code also from within the notebook. So you can enhance a data product like this. So writing all the custom logic. So that is again another part of a BDC solution offering. So they have partnered with this Databricks, and Databricks provides you this pro code data engineering workflows where you can go and train your own ML models using PySpark. And again, back to this, Datasphere. So here you can see the ML model that was trained in Databricks, right? So if you go and filter based on the systems and says Databricks, so you will see the Databricks model that you just trained as a data product exposed in the Datasphere itself, right? So you don't have to train somewhere and then to consume it, you don't have to struggle or anything, right? So it's fully integrated. So you activate a data product, out of box, it will be a simple data product. If you want to do some enhancements, you can say open in Databricks and you can go to Databricks, you can write some code, you can enhance it. And once it is enhanced, again, you can come into the Datasphere, you can go to the data catalog and you will find the enhanced data product. Right. So from now onwards, it's all Datasphere workflow. It has nothing to do with Databricks. So I am skipping this, right? So all this is, they are going to build graphical views and so on, right? So what we have seen so far are the things that happens in a Databrick, right? So any questions from anyone so far? we will quickly take some questions and then we'll go back to our slides.
Yes, Ram. Actually, I belong to normal SAP Security GRC admin profile. So, will this
Mhm.
product, how can it help us, like in reporting anything from compliance perspective?
Okay. So yes, a good question, right? So from GRC system also, there are some standard business. So how SAP is releasing the data products and insight apps currently is whatever is there, mostly as the standard business content already in SAC or already in Datasphere. They are being shipped in the first wave of BDC solutions, and for GRC there is already some business content for GRC in SAC. Right? So if you search for GRC related business content, you will find that. So yes, GRC currently I don't think there is an insight app for GRC, but it could be released in the future. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Tanvi
I'm
Srinivas.
Amar here. Okay, I have a question. When you talk about BDC and you are talking about Databricks, is that the collaboration Databricks and SAP is doing, or how that happens? What exactly the we're talking about AI, right? AI, ML, and Python. That
Mhm.
BDC is going to take the knowledge, or SAP is going to take knowledge from Databricks and do this, or it's a joint development and they will work.
It's a joint partnership. So they have partnered with Databricks, who is a lakehouse architecture provider. So within BDC, it will be like a seamless feature. Like you can just say open in Databricks from a data product, and you can go and work there and come back. But the only thing that the people who are working in the Databricks should know is they should be AI or ML engineers. They should know PySpark, right? And they can do Python coding and they can train the ML models. So it opens up a new role in the SAP ecosystem. So in SAP, there was a product which was not very popular, which was called Data Intelligence Cloud. So it had similar features. So where people can create this Python notebook and so on. So that Data Intelligence Cloud was deprecated, and to fill that gap and to add more features, SAP has partnered with Databricks.
Okay.
Hi, Ram Srinivas here.
Yeah, Srinivas.
Yeah, actually, already we are implementing Datasphere for one of our client. So, how we safeguard with this BDC and how to proceed with the BDC?
Yeah, so if you are already having a data sphere, that is not an issue, because one of the prerequisites for BTC is you should have three things. So you should have a data sphere tenant, you should have an analytics cloud tenant, and you should have some form of SAP S4 HANA also. So yeah, all that is like a prerequisite for having a BDC. So when you have a BDC, you will go into a portal which is called SAP for me. So in that portal, you will create formation and you will attach all the systems together. You will say, okay, this is the Datasphere, this is the Analytics Cloud, this is the S4, and optionally, this is the Databricks. So when you do that formation in SAP for me portal, so this is an admin task. So the admin, the basis team will do that. And when they do it, you will get all of them inside the BDC. So yeah. So the investment is protected. So basically, BDC needs a Datasphere. So if a customer doesn't have a Datasphere, they have to procure a Datasphere.
So the license is free for BDC, right? Or is there any charge for that one?
It is chargeable, right? So it will be consuming the BTP consumption units. Again, exact pricing, I am not sure. Even it's not in the cost estimator, but it is not free. Yes.
So,
Okay, thank you.
I
But
have a
this
question on this.
these two products
Yeah,
are
Tanvi, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
these
yeah.
So,
two products.
if
Oh,
we have
sorry.
data
Go ahead.
sphere, SAP, S4 HANA, so apart from it, I have another system, ECC.
Hmm?
So, can we club that system also as a prerequisite? Like we are connecting S4 HANA, data sphere, and SSE.
So these are the minimum requirements. So at the moment, I don't think ECC is possible, but there are other systems which can be part of the. So these are like the basic requirements. So other than this, it can connect to many other systems also, right? So
Okay.
ECC could be possible, but I'm not sure because SAP is into the modernization of things now. Even the old BW customers have been asked, to move to latest BW for HANA or using BW Bridge to Datasphere, something like that. Right. So ECC or have also been asked to move to S4 HANA, and SAP has this rise with SAP and grow with SAP programs to handhold the customers and move them to S4. Right. So I don't think they will support in BDC a old
Okay.
ECC system. Yeah.
No, I agree point that the customers are being moved to S4 HANA. I agree. And the customer is already moved to S4 HANA. But sometimes it happens ki customer says ki there's a blue field implementation and we don't want right now from this year, we want to continue the S4 HANA and we want to save our previous investments as an ECC.
So what happens is, if the customer has a long relationship with SAP and then they talk to SAP, maybe they can find some exception or
Okay.
something like that. Yeah.
Okay. And what about the tenants? Like, as per the best practice, how many tenants, like single tenant? Because right now, customer has Datasphere as well as SEC, but that is working on single tenant.
Yeah. So in the BDC also, so for one BDC tenant, you can only tie one Datasphere tenant and one SAC tenant. So the recommendation from SAP is to have one non-production tenant and at least one production tenant.
Okay. So minimum 2 tenants as per the best practices, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And one thing, this
Uh,
Databricks is also
Ram, do we
competitive,
have
right?
that BW bridge?
So maybe Murali, yeah, go ahead.
Do we have that BW bridge in BDC? Because in our screenshot, right, it was not been mentioned, and we have that BW 7.5 also private edition is available, right? So
Yeah. So
still that
BW Bridge is not part of BDC, right? So BW Bridge is more part of Datasphere. So it is a special space in Datasphere, and it is a separate license for BW Bridge. So yeah. So if you are going to there are two routes in BW modernization. So one is called the lift, and the other is called shell conversion. So shell conversion is like you leave all your BW data, you convert the shell, like the metadata, and you create those objects in the Datasphere, and you load new data to those objects, right? So that is like shell conversion. Only take the outer metadata of the objects, create those objects, and then start loading new data. The lift is like you transfer both the data and metadata from BW to uh, Datasphere. But yeah, in both of that, it has nothing to do with BDC. So in BDC, the approach for BW modernization is a little bit different. So what you do is you treat the BW as the source for some data products, and you can directly activate those data products. And then what happens? It creates relevant tables and views in Datasphere, and then it creates the replication flow. So it loads the data from BW as the source to all those tables and views and so on. So the approach is a little bit different in BDC. So yes,
Okay, so
BW can be
again
modernized with BDC. Yeah.
okay, again the same tables and views will be available in Datasphere. Whatever
Yes,
the
again.
okay, for Datasphere again it is BW as a source. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Srinivas, you have been a long time. You have raised the hand. So, any questions, Srinivas? Okay, maybe Teja.
This is Bhuvan here.
Yeah, Mohan, go ahead.
Yeah. So I just want to hear more about the Databricks, assuming that we have Datasphere, S4 Analytics Cloud, we have separate tenants, and then we are using Databricks as an independent entity, an independent object or system. So how we are going to integrate Databricks with BDC, and then if there were any integrations already, so how we are going to
So
consolidate.
when you say you have a Databricks, you already have a Databricks license, is it, like with your customer?
So we are assuming that we have an separate Databricks, we are using it for, yeah. Then we have
Okay,
all
so
the,
you do not have to have a separate Databricks. Yeah, I mean, if you already have a license, yeah, you can work with SAP and see how you can reuse it. But yeah, you don't have to have a separate Databricks. You can you can get it with BDC as a Databrick also. But anyways, so how to attach all this together is there is a portal which is called SAP for me, right? So that is an admin portal where you maintain all your licenses, accounts, sub accounts, and all that, right? So when you go into that SAP for me portal, you can create something called as a BDC formation. So in that BDC formation, you have to give the details about your Datasphere, your details about your S4 system, your detail about Analytics Cloud. Same way, you have to give your details about the Databricks, and that's how they get attached to the BDC system.
Which mean to say because now this Databricks is outside the SAP ecosystem. But still, what you are saying is there would be a provision to attach the Databricks into the BDC component, this thing, right?
Yeah,
Umbrella.
they have worked with the BDC. I mean, BDC team has worked with the Databricks team behind the scene. They are both partners, and they have developed this tight integration. So yes, so when you want to attach Databricks to BDC, all you have to do is you have to provide the details, and it will get attached. But your original question, like if you already have a Databricks which you didn't procure from SAP or part of the BDC deal, I'm not sure how that license can be reused. So that is maybe something that you have to check with, I know, the point of sales person in BDC side. But yeah, technically, yes, it is possible to attach BDC. Like
Yeah,
in BDC.
actually, I'm sorry to interrupt. If you look at the Databricks, if you're asking like if you're working with Databricks outside of SAP, Databricks currently provides the provision of connecting your S4 HANA and like other databases, data lakes of SAP that are provided by it. I have been working with Databricks for the past 2 years now. So we can connect S4 HANA databases, and I guess BDC is just for the ease of access of Databricks alongside of SAP.
Yeah, and yeah, so if you have bring your own license kind of journey, it's a little bit different. So if you are procuring the Databricks alongside BDC, that's a little bit different. But anyhow, I mean, yeah, so there will be a lot of customers who will be using Databricks because of the same reason you said, right? So there are Databricks integration with already with a lot of SAP products. So now
Yeah.
the only thing they are trying to do is this simplification, like when you enhance a product and bring it back into Datasphere and so on. So that's where we use this S4, SAP for me interface. But other than that, yeah, so I think it's not a very wild scenario when you say I already have a Databricks, because SAP has been working with Databricks at least for 3-4 years since they started working on Datasphere itself, right? That time itself, they
Yes.
partnered with Databricks. Yeah.
See, Databricks mainly they are planning to utilize it for the AI capabilities. So if you are going for BDC, it will be embedded as part of this BDC component. But if it is separate, I wanted to make sure that is there any way we can integrate it instead of going for another license within BDC for Databricks?
Yeah, that should be some way. So that should be a bring your own license kind of way. Yes.
Thank you.
Ram, Srinivas here.
Yeah. Hi, Srinivas.
Ram, actually, I'm hearing some of the new things like Delta Lake, Data Lake, Databricks, and all. I'm a little bit confused where we are going, and I don't know what SAP doing with this, all those things. Could you please tell me what is this Data Lake, Databricks, and Delta Lake?
So Databricks. Okay. So I'll answer that question maybe at the last, because I need to give an elaborate answer for that. So maybe anyone else? Teja, you are
Ram.
raising. Yeah.
Right. So my question is like, I mean, if we have a Datasphere already and I'm having a SAC, okay, and I do not want to introduce related to AI, still like BDC is not is the right option to choose it, right? Because as per the architecture, which I understand, apart from this, AI only the Databricks is coming into the picture for us, correct?
So yeah, I mean, couple of things. That's where the takeaway was, right? So one big deal is AI. So when we say AI, there are two types of AI. So one is the Joule integration, right? So SAP is very heavily investing into Joule. So yeah, this year we'll see a lot of Joule capability, and Joule needs a reliable data foundation, right? So without BDC also, Joule will work based on the BTP level integrations. But when you have BDC, there will be more flows that will get enabled. And again, when we talk about AI, the extended workflow is this Databricks workflow, right? Where you can enhance the existing data products with machine learning and so on. So if you don't want both that, right? So if you don't want Joule as well as you don't want the Databricks kind of enhancements, then yes, so you are missing one takeaway, like you don't want the AI. But then there are two more key things, right? So one is connecting all your data. So that has also been a challenge so far. Yes, I mean, it's a one-time challenge for many customers because initially you are setting up connection in Datasphere or in SAC only, you will struggle. But once you establish a connection, it is not a prolonged struggle, right? Every time when you start building a model, you are not going to create a new connection. Only when the project starts, you are going to create a connection. But that is something, it's very streamlined in this BDC. So when you create the formation, all these connections are done in the formation. So when you go into all these systems, those systems will already be, these connections will be already exposed to those systems and so on. And then they are doing some more enhancements also in this level, like the data integration level. So again, that is something, if you think, my existing connections and all are fine with me, then that is also something you can decide on. So basically, yes. So if you are okay with not having AI, and if you are okay with whatever connections you have now, then yes, you have two values that are gone. And then the third value is they are building a lot of insight apps, right? So that is main value because now you have some business content, but that business content is sometimes, yes, the business content has some part in Datasphere and some part in SAC also, but it's never fully integrated, and then it is never having good. I mean, it has some connectivity with S4, but it doesn't have a lot of capability that the Insight apps have. And then in future, you can expect that they are going to release more and more Insight apps compared to the business content. So that is again something, if the customer is looking, for example, if the customer is looking to implement a specific scenario, which is only available as an Insight app, then that is again another reason that they can go for the BDC.
Okay. One more question which I am having is, like, let's say if I am using the Databricks, the staging layer, we need to load the data into data lakes or somewhere where we use it. So, but from the Datasphere standpoint, or like how we are going to communicate to SAC, that is, I do not see in the architecture. So, like, even the data which is coming from Datasphere also will get stored in the data lake, or like,
Okay, so we'll come to that. So I will answer the Srinivas question about the data lake and what is Delta Lake and all that, object store and so on. So we'll talk about that there. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, Sairam.
Yeah, Ram, I have one question.
Yes.
Yeah, are these data products are same like a standard content what SAP releases? Is it something like that, or these are like every customer can customize their these data products?
Okay, so there is a difference between the data products and the data products and the business content. In data products, in business content you get standard models, standard stories, and so on. In data products, you also get the data, actual data. Right? In standard business content, you don't always get the data, and sometimes in data products, all you need is the data itself. Right? So they have partnered with open data ecosystem provider. Right? Again, I'll show you the Datasphere is loading, so I'll show you that. So for example, you are a new startup and you are going to release cars in a new market in Europe, and you want to know what are the existing SUVs that are in that market, right? So that is some data you need to launch your product, right? So in that case, the problem currently is there are many reporting tools like Power BI, Tableau, and so on, but getting the data from a reliable source is the problem. That's where SAP tries to partner with this open data ecosystem provider, and they are trying
Ram,
to
please,
get.
I have given you a new link. Use that. I guess this link will not work. It will just keep loading. In chat, I have given you.
Okay, yeah, I'll use that. Thank you. Yeah, so basically, our data product is for not only the business content, but sometimes the value is in the data itself. And there are some partners who are selling data as a product. right, in the data marketplace. And that's the difference between the data product and the standard business content. And in case of BDC, we have something called as data packages, so which is a collection of data products, and that is curated by SAP themselves. So based on different scenarios which you want to activate. So when you activate a data package, it will activate a collection of data products. Right. So if you go here to the marketplace of data products, so you will find a lot of this is just Datasphere. This is not BDC, but BDC is anyways reusing the data products concepts in the Datasphere only. So yeah, so that's why I'm trying to show you. Yeah. Okay, so I see more hands. So maybe Ajay.
Hi, Aram.
Anjuna.
Yeah, so you were showing that there are prerequisites. We need to have multiple tenants for Datasphere SAC and BW. It is the case in Datasphere as well, where SAP was suggesting to use multiple tenants, one for non-prod and one for prod. But some customers are using spaces instead of going for multiple tenants for cost cutting. But in this case, is SAP forcing in BDC to use multiple tenants for such customers who are using spaces to avoid costs, because it is one of the prerequisites we have seen in the previous slides.
Yeah, kind of. Yes, that's true. Yeah, I have also seen customers using spaces to segregate between dev queue and prod. But yeah, so SAP always recommended at least a 2-tenant approach. Their high recommendation is 3-tenant approach, dev queue and P, but at least they are saying non-prod and prod. But yeah, there are some customers who use 1 tenant, but with BDC, yes, it is getting a little bit kind of enforced. But again, the customers, I know they will find some workaround and they'll emerge with some practices that they use. Yeah. So, Manjunatha, any question from you?
Yeah.
Hi, Ram.
Ram, I want to know what is the exact use of the BDC.
So it is there to make all these activations and the connectivity a little bit easier. So if you think about some of the gaps now, right? So right away, BDC is addressing the connections and the content, right? But in the future, what they are also trying to do is, for example, now you have some data and data products for S4 HANA, and then some data and data products for success factors, and some data for Ariba, like that, right? So all these are separate LOB applications, and they have separate data and they have separate reporting scenarios and so on, which works fine. But so far, there has been no tighter integration scenarios where you get data from all these sources and then you provide some combined insights. So for example, now with introduction of Joule and AI like that, you can ask some questions in natural language like, okay, so I want to find out how was my expense last month. Then it has to find expense from S4, and it has to find your travel expense from Concur, and it has to find your employee expense from success factors and so on. So it will enable, the BDC will enable a tighter integration and it will lay a foundation for the AI. But yeah, out of box, what they are releasing now is just a easier way to do connection. So in Datasphere, you have to go into each space and you have to keep recreating the connection. With BDC, that's eliminated. And the other thing is, yeah, there is this Delta store, and there is the lower cost of storing large amount of data and all that. But yeah, so it's just an introduction. So they are adding more features in the future. Yeah, Sairam, maybe you can go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, Ram. This is Sairam. So we are actually moving to the SAP Rise now, and then what SAP has provided me automatically with the Datasphere and SAC. Okay, and then I have checked with them like whether they are going to provide it, this BDC also, but they didn't come back to us. So how this currently we are using Azure Data Lake and Power BI for the reporting. But I want to make sure that my clients should be they are easily integrate with the SAP, with Rise and Datasphere and SAC with BDC. So do you think that this is good way? I mean, we can move it to the BDC and then Datasphere and then SAC.
Yes, that's a very great question. And that's one of the reasons why SAP released the BDC, right? Because SAP saw that, see, where SAP is very strong is their core ERP suite, Their S4 HANA is the groundbreaking deal. But what SAP saw is the competitors are gaining a lot of momentum in the analytics space. Even though SAP has Datasphere, SAC, everything, the competitors are always, Power BI or Tableau, or even people are creating Synapse or Snowflake and all, and then they are drifting away. So SAP is bleeding out of data. So their data from S4 is being reported in so many other applications. So SAP wanted a tighter integration. So that's why, like you said, with moves like Rise with SAP and Grow with SAP and all, SAP offers bundle deals where they gave customers free access to certain number of users for certain number of years, maybe 2 years, 1 year, 3 years bundle, and they say, okay, you know what? You only want to modernize ECC to S4, but we are also giving you Datasphere and SAC. Why don't you try it out? Right? So that's one reason you can try it. And the same way you can approach SAP, your the contact person, the sales person in SAP, and then say that the customer is using Azure and then Power BI, and this is a good opportunity for you to give us BDC, and probably they can give you as part of the RISE deal. So yes, and again, so is it a good deal? I would say yes, because when you have S4, SAC, and Datasphere, you're almost there. You're 80%, 90% there. So all you need is BDC, and we with BDC, all this integration scenarios and all the delta handling, everything with S4 becomes a lot easier.
Okay. And I hear that because SAP Marketplace also, when we are moving to the SAP Rise, they are given some demos like you can use directly AI capabilities with S4 Rise itself. So without the data sphere and without BDC, we can directly use the SAP Joule directly.
Yeah. So like I said, in the BTP or in S4, the Joule is going to be SAP's Copilot in everything, right? So in every standalone application also, you'll be able to use Joule. So even inside success factors, etc. But with BDC, what happens? The future direction is like in each of those individual pieces, like in S4, if you use Copilot, like if you use Joule, you can only ask questions or you can only ask it to do actions related to S4 only. Whereas in BDC, because it is a business fabric, you can ask questions which will get answers from multiple applications. So for like that's what I said. When you ask about expense, it will not only check the expense in S4, it will check the expense from travel expense from Concur. It will check the external contract user expense from Fieldglass. It will check the full-time employee expense from Success Factors and so on, and it can integrate seamlessly.
Okay, so without BDC, as you said, it will only look into the one application and then it can provide you the data. But when we use the BDC, it will be collaborated and it can provide each and every details.
Yes, that is only in the roadmap. Currently, it's not a feature. Yeah, they are going in that direction.
Okay, and I hear that in a lot of things in the LinkedIn is like BDC don't require any data replication, so it directly link up the like how we have like live connection between S4 versus Datasphere or S4 versus SAC. Is that same thing is going to happen, or do we need to replicate the data from everything in the Datasphere? Sorry, data. Yeah.
Okay, so that I think some people have misunderstood what SAP meant by zero copy delta share, which does not mean there is no replication required. Yes, you will see that when you activate some insight apps in BDC, you will see that replication flows getting created and the replication flows, getting data from the HANA data lake file and then loading it to the tables and views. So yes, replication is very much required. I think it's the confusion with the marketing terminology where they say zero copy delta share. So people thought, okay, there is zero copy, so basically there is no replication.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for that.
Thank you. Yeah, I see another Ram and then Zahid. One of you go ahead.
Oh, yes, sir. So I have two questions here. So I think in the same lines like what Sairam asked, right? So the first thing is about this data replication. So it's going to be like multiple replications for like we have Datasphere now, and then we are going to have BDC, right? I mean Databricks. So how the data replication will happen? Like,
Yeah.
so you will maintain two parallel flows in this case, or is it going to be like?
No, yeah, that's where the zero copy delta share comes into picture, right? So that's exactly. So when you have the actual data replicated from S4, the foundation services will come into picture, right? So that's the ones. These foundation service is the one that is handling all this data acquisition, transformation, and delta handling, and so on. So this foundation service will create some replication flow, and then it will load the data to your Datasphere spaces. So whichever space you are targeting to install your data products. So only there the data will be replicated once. And then if you go into that data product and then you say, I want to enhance this with Databricks, that's where this zero copy delta sharing comes into picture. So there is no actual copy or replication happening. It is just giving some samples, and it is it's just using the underlying. We'll talk about this a little bit. I think we are already over time, but yeah, we'll talk about this a little bit. So here is where there is no actual replication is happening. The data, you are using the notebooks in the Databricks to train your ML models, and then again you are going to give the enhanced data products back to Datasphere. But yeah, one-time replication will happen from whatever is the source, like S4 or SuccessFactors, whatever is the source. That data will be replicated to Datasphere. Once it is replicated, there is no need for few more replications.
Okay, so this can be reused if you need to implement any AI and machine learning capabilities, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And the second question is like, I mean, a lot of customers are already, I mean, they are maintaining their enterprise data lakes outside SAP ecosystem, right? Like maybe Azure, maybe AWS, right? So for
Yes.
those customers, like what is the value proposition from BDC? I mean, how we can, pitch in there, because they
So
already have data lakes built
yes.
and they don't want to come to BDC landscape, right? So
Yes, so that's where SAP is. I mean, so that is the problem that SAP is trying to attack, because SAP is losing customers to the competitors, right? So
yeah.
now what is the value proposition that SAP is saying is these things, right? So you will, because BDC is a SAP product, and previously people will not use BDC storage because it was very costly, and that's one of the reasons they moved to Azure or S3 or Amazon, something like that, right? But now SAP can say that with Databricks, again, we have brought the cost down. And if you shift now, again, it's up to customer. But if they shift now, SAP is now saying that you have all these advantages. We are going to keep giving you new insight apps, which you can activate. And then we are going to keep giving you new Joule features. And they are building agentic features now, which can do operations also. Like it can create sales orders, it can create purchase orders, all those things. So they can say we can do all that. And these are like, some features which they don't want to lose. So if cost is the only thing, and if they see the cost is also now, Azure and BDC is going to be on the same level, they might probably shift, because now anyways they are using SAP S4, which is a SAP product, and then they want to use all these benefits. So why not they could switch?
Okay.
Yeah.
What
So
about the scalability? Because other customers who uses Snowflake and all, this is the major complaint what they have.
yeah. So one second, Ajay, I'll come back to that. Maybe Zahid, then Naga, you have your hands up. Maybe Zahid.
Hi Ram, thank you. I have a question regarding the positioning of this BDC in context of Datasphere, where in Datasphere we have the option to write Python code if we need to. So, what exactly is the positioning of this BDC? Except that it provides, I think, more kind of access to write Python scripts, or we can say that it provides pre-built in inside applications and pre-built data packages. Is that the only value addition that is available, or is there something else that they are offering?
Yes, currently those are the only value additions that are available. But in the future, yes, yeah, I mean, they are promising like cross LOB content, and then more agentic workflows and so on. But yeah, as you said, the three key takeaways, right? The data integration, the out-of-box insight apps and data products, and then the AI features. Those are the only things available out of box. Yes.
So it will also be available as a subscription service, subscription service in BTP in future.
I'm not sure. So it could be because it is already using the consumption unit. So it could be, but yeah, the pricing and everything and even the trial accounts, nothing is clear because they have not released anything yet. So we have to wait and see that.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So any questions, Naga and Neelamegam?
Hi Ram. Yeah, actually, is there any timeline to provide that BDC from SAP and all this? So maybe expected in any another 3 months or 4 months like that also. Why? Because my client is also moving on to Datasphere and Databricks, and then they are using the Power BI because the reporting right now is available in Power BI and all this. So that's why. Is there any helpful?
So for the customers, the timeline is April, right? So from April, they are onboarding customers. So if you are from a customer side, yes, you can reach out to SAP sales and then you can get the instances. But for learning and development, like you can go and request a Datasphere trial instance and SAC trial instance. Like that, BDC is not there yet. So that can take a longer time. That can take maybe 3 months or so. But for customers, they are starting in April. So you can already talk to SAP.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. So Neelamegam, you had any question?
I was about to ask about trial account. I think that you answered.
Okay, then perfect. Okay, now coming back to Ajay's question, right? So Ajay was asking, yeah, anyone else? Any questions? I heard someone. Okay, so Ajay's question was scalability, right? So when we say scalability, for example, during times, especially during the initial times when you are loading a lot of data from S4, you are replicating a lot of data into Datasphere, etc., you would require more compute, right? So the solutions like Snowflake, they make elasticity very good. Like you can just, there are 10 default sizes available, and then they charge differently for the sizes, and you can scale up and scale down very dynamically. So I couldn't log into my account, or else I could have shown it. So in that Snowflake, it's just, if I want today, I want to go 2 Excel size or 3 Excel size, I can immediately go run my heavy workloads. And if I want to scale back to medium or large, I can do that, right? Something similar SAP is also trying in Datasphere. So we have something called as Elastic Nodes, which is coming in Datasphere. And then already there are features like this in the Databricks side. So even in that space, in Datasphere, you see Elastic Compute Nodes. That is a new thing that SAP has brought up. So which is very similar to this type of, whenever you require more compute, you can increase, and whenever you want to fall back, you can decrease. That's happening at the Datasphere level also. But in Databricks, that was also always had been a native feature. So you can have multiple compute clusters, and you can, when you are running a Python notebook, you can run it targeted to a particular compute cluster. So yeah, in BDC, basically elasticity is a little bit better. Okay, so any other questions from anyone? Okay, so if not, yeah, so going back to my slides, right? So we have a couple of takeaways for you.
Going to told you will be covering Databricks, data lakes.
I'll come to that. Yes. Before that, I'll summarize everything, and then we'll talk about, well, so it's a little bit large. So if I cover this, whoever wants to drop off, they can drop off. Whoever wants to stay, they can stay. Right? So the key takeaways are BDC is targeting to create a business data fabric, which is unifying all SAP and non-SAP data, and it is scalable. Right? And also they are trying to give you out-of-box insight apps and data products, which is again built by SAP on SAP data. So it is going to be robust. Okay? And then they are trying to bring together all the data for more AI scenarios in the future. So currently yeah, the two AI scenarios that are immediately going to come in few months is, Just Ask is already there in SAC, and even without BDC, you can use Just Ask. But with Joule, Joule is some new feature that is coming up. Maybe if you're not talking, please go on mute. Thank you. Yeah. So Just Ask and Joule and other AI features we can expect. And they have tight partnership with Databricks. And so if you want to go the pro code data engineering journey, that is a way. And if you already have some BW investments, and if you are looking at BW modernization, they already have several paths like using BW Bridge and so on. But again, BDC opens up another path where you can use SAP BW as a source to your data products, and then it can replicate data from BW to Datasphere and so on. Right, so those are some key takeaways for BDC. And who are, what are the roles that will be directly impacted, or what are the roles who can move into this BDC is basically these roles. Right, so if you are already a data architect or data professional working in any of these data related products, like BO, BW, BW for HANA, SAP HANA Cloud, anything, and SAP Analytics Cloud, Datasphere, HANA Cloud, and HANA Data Lake, and SAP, you all can move into the BDC. And then even if you're working in master data governance and MDG cloud and so on. So all these people who are already working with data, either in your technical role or a functional role or even an administrator role, etc., you can potentially upskill and move towards SAP BDC, because SAP is very heavily invested in BDC, and they are going to add new features, and they are going to drive a lot of customers towards BDC. Right. So if you have any Q&As, or if you have any follow-up questions, you can reach out. You can take a screenshot, and you can have the numbers, you can have the email ID, you can reach out to us. And then we are also offering some courses on Datasphere and SAC planning. Right. So Datasphere course is very important for BDC, because BDC relies heavily upon a lot of the Datasphere features like data product activation, replication flows, and delta handling, and many things are just reused from Datasphere in BDC. So understanding Datasphere is very critical if you're planning to go to BDC. So that is something we are offering, and you can reach out to us based on for that also. Right? So with that said, so we are going to talk about a little bit about the Databricks, the lakehouse architecture, and so on. So that's about it for the workshop on BDC. So whoever wants to drop off, you are welcome to drop off. And anyone have any last minute questions? Yeah, please shoot. Okay, I think we are good. So let's talk about the lakehouse architecture. Okay? And others, please feel free to drop off whenever we want. So Amar, are you on the call? Amar is the one who asked that question, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So can you repeat the question for everyone?
Ram, I have a question. Sorry. Yeah, Ram, from the training perspective, actually, majorly BDC is involved only. So background in Datasphere as well as SSC, some planning reports. Is it in clubbed only? So when I go for the BDC training only, it will involve Datasphere also, high level?
So currently we do not have a BDC training, because currently the BDC training systems are not available, right? So currently we have the Datasphere and SSC planning combined training, which will get you 80% there. But so currently there is no BDC training. Once the BDC is out, we'll be conducting BDC trainings. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to do this workshop, to be the first to introduce everyone to the BDC and the features and so on. But currently, no one has access to BDC training system. So no one I know is doing any trainings on BDC.
So SAP Datasphere and planning is already started, or maybe it is going to start maybe April?
So one is going to start tomorrow. So Datasphere. So tomorrow will be just an introduction session, 1 hour.
Datasphere and SAP planning.
Yes. So tomorrow we are starting with Datasphere. Datasphere is the first we train, and then we'll move on to planning. So Datasphere is the data staging or storage layer, right? So we understand that, and then we move on to the reporting layer. So that starts tomorrow. So tomorrow is just an introduction session. So the actual major session starts next week.
So is it on a daily basis or weekends?
Weekends. So Saturday, Sunday. So you can reach out to Ankit and in this mail ID, and he can help you.
Okay. Sure. No, I will do it. Yeah. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Amar, please go ahead.
The data lake, right? The data lake, Databricks, and so the multiple lakes, right? How SAP is going to compete with them now? That is the question on the.
So SAP is not competing with them. So that is the short answer. Why? So okay. So what is data lake and what is data warehouse and what is this lake house, right? So data warehouse is the traditional way of storing data uh, in a schema that is very good for reporting. Like SAP traditionally used star schema and extended star schema kind of storage, where they store data in a centralized fact table surrounded by a lot of dimension tables, and that is very good for reporting. But the problem is when the data is not in GBs, but the data is in TBs or PBs or even higher than that, the storage cost is high and also the performance is very low. Right? So one of the things where customers can store a lot of data is a thing called data lake, where the storage cost is very, very cheap, but the data is very unorganized, right? So you can store proper tables, you can store files, you can store blobs, you can store anything basically for a very cheap storage in data lake. But the problem is then if the data is very unorganized in data lake, reporting on top of that is not easy. Whereas reporting on top of a data warehouse is very easy because the data is stored in tables. So you can just run your SQL commands and then you will get the reports very quickly. So I think in 2014 or 15, this company called Databricks, they came up with a white paper where they said they want to combine the benefits of data lake and data warehouse. The benefit of data lake is storing large amount of data in different formats from different sources for a very low cost. Right? So that is the advantage of data lake. The advantage of data warehouse is keeping the data organized and very efficient for reporting. What these guys said is, okay, so we create something called as a lakehouse architecture, right? Where we combine the benefits of the data lake, which is the storage, keeping the storage cost low, and then we combine the benefits of the data warehouse, which is like keeping the reporting easier. So that's where they did some innovation. So the middle layer, they created some metadata and governance layer, which is their lakehouse layer, and that's where all the magic happens. So there is a very good course on this if you want to learn in Pluralsight. I guess that course was offered free for some time. I'm not sure if it is still free now, so you can go and check. Databricks, there is an introduction course on that, and there are also courses from Databricks itself from in their platform. Again, it could be free also, and in worst case you can also check in YouTube, and people would have posted about, it is still, I guess it is still free, so you can opt for a trial and you can take this. But the overall idea is basically combining the benefits of lake and a warehouse. So now is Databricks the only one who is doing it? These are marketing terms, right? So the lakehouse is the architecture, but all the other things, what they do in the intermediate layer is very proprietary and it is specific to Databricks. And there are other strong players in the market, right? There is Synapse, there is Snowflake. There are so many other people who are also doing this kind of data lake based reporting, very cheap and very efficient, right? So SAP never had, or at least never had, a very successful this kind of lakehouse reporting. So they didn't want to compete with any of them. So they partnered up with one of them basically. So same way in BTP, initially SAP created their own cloud data centers and so on. But then they realized they cannot compete with the hyperscalers. So they partnered up with all the hyperscalers, AWS, GCP, and Azure. Same way in this space also, SAP strategically planned and partnered with Databricks. So he's one of the players. There are other players, like you can also read about Snowflake and all these things. So so it's SAP's strategic move to collaborate and not reinvent something that is already out there.
Thank you. I
So
think
you mean
much
to say it's like a free, I mean, the data side will be reduced in the data lake and data warehouse is going to be
The data
where
the data cost, the storage cost in a lakehouse architecture is very, very low because the data is still stored in a very compressed and not in a very relational form. So storing the data will take very less space. And in lakehouse, you can have a lot of space already because the storage cost is very low. But with all that comes the inefficiency of reporting. That's where they use some proprietary middleware or the middle layer where they do enhancements to bring those data in very large scale to be easy for reporting, right? So basically what Databricks enables you to do is store a lot of data in low cost and then report on it in a very efficient way.
Okay, and that makes sense. Ram, is this will be uploaded in YouTube, these links, or this video?
I think yes. I think Ankit will upload this recording to YouTube. So if you follow mentorspool YouTube channel, you will find that there.
Okay. Yep. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. So once again, thank you everyone for attending this, and please do check our YouTube channel on mentorspool. And then also, if you have any queries, reach out to us on WhatsApp or email, and please feel free to drop any questions. We'll be glad to answer that.
Ram, I have one final question.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, please.
Ram, now with this BDC, where it will be kind of capacity units, and we have to allocate each capacity unit for BWPC, Databricks, and all if at all we use it. Do we have any document where it shows which services uses maximum capacity units?
So that's what so far I didn't check today, but last week when I checked, it was not part of the cost estimator. I think soon they will add it to the SAP cost estimator in the discovery center. So once it is out there, we'll all know the transparency. So nowadays SAP is being transparent with all their offering. So all you have to do is go to the cost estimator and then add those services, and you can calculate the cost.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, if you go to this link, right? So I'll post the link in the chat. So it is not available now. So you have to go to add services and then you have to search for Business Data Cloud. So see, it is not available. But if you see Datasphere and SAC and all are available, right? So like this, once the Business Data Cloud is available, so you will be able to add the various service plans and the various things that you require, and you will understand how much capacity it's going to use. But yeah, so far it is not there yet.
Do you think down the line Datasphere will merge into Databricks? Like
Yes,
instead of having two different.
Yes, that's a very great question. And yes, Datasphere will eventually evolve into BDC.
Okay, thank you.
No, the question was Datasphere will merge to Databricks, not to BDC.
Not Databricks. Okay. So yeah, Databricks is a separate product. So it will not merge into Databricks. Yeah. So they'll that's a different company.
Yeah, the reason why I'm saying is that more and more people, they are trying to extract the data from SAP and put it into Azure cloud and all, and then use Databricks. I can't say about the licensing part, but that is how people then report
so already,
on Power BI.
Yeah, at that level already Databricks and Datasphere are already merged even before the BDC was introduced.
Yes.
So Datasphere was previously called Data Warehouse Cloud, right? And then in 2013, they did a strategic partnership with Colibra, Data Robot, and Databricks and so on for different features. So for example, Colibra, they did for the cataloging feature and so on. Same way for Databricks, they moved for their low cost data lake option only. So exactly the same reason that you are saying, a lot of customers were moving to Azure and so many other options because it was very cheaper. Right. So at that time itself, Datasphere had a very tight collaboration with Databricks, and I don't think Datasphere will evolve into Databricks because two different companies, they are only partnering up at some strategic levels, but all the benefits of whatever you will have directly running Python notebooks on Databricks, you will have the same benefits now with this BDC, the Titan integration, right? But yeah, they'll never merge. So I misread your question. I thought you were talking about the BDC and Datasphere merging.
Yeah. No problem. No problem. So you mean to say that these will be standalone and the data warehousing part will be done in the, the usual data warehousing will be done in Databricks, sorry, Datasphere only.
Yeah, Datasphere only, yes.
Okay.
And then, yeah, it will eventually in the backend, it can use Databricks and its services, but yeah, they'll be two standalone products, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Anil, go ahead.
Hi Ram, you just mentioned about the Python notebooks and all. So do we need to know Python also for this?
So nowadays, no one writes any code, and especially Python and JavaScript are now replaced by natural language. So every day when I have to write code, I just go to Claude and then I say what I want to write, and it writes my code for me. So yeah, you don't have to worry about it. So if you describe your situation, say for example, you want to create a time series machine learning model in PySpark, you just have to say that I want to create a time series machine learning model with PySpark, and this is my columns in my data product, and the any chatbot will give you the code and you can run it. And now in Databricks itself, they have some AI features like that, so you can just ask that your question in natural language and it will give the code for you.
That's great. Yeah, thank you.
A very small question that if somebody has SAC today, will they be entitled to BDC licensing till for whatever duration that's left of SAC, or without any extra money, or how will it happen?
I'm not sure about SAC customers, right? See, if you think from SAP's perspective, they want customers who are drifting. See, SAP has a very strong foot in ERP industry, right? Their SAP S4HANA is used by a lot of large enterprises in the world. They say that, 90% of the Fortune 500 companies use SAP, right? When they say that, they mean at least they use the SAP's ERP or SAP's, S4HANA system, or that's what they mean. Now the problem is, yes, everyone is using S4HANA system, but when it comes to reporting, they are drifting away to all the other tools, right? So if some customer is already using SAC, I don't think SAP will go ahead and offer BDC for free to them. It also depends on the size of the customer, the relationship SAP has with them, and so on. But at this moment, BDC is very new, so SAP is only spinning up few systems, so they want to make maximum use of it. So they will be targeting whoever wants to jump on BDC and whoever is ready to pay as the first customers. But eventually, down the line also, who they will target is like some customer who is on S4 but who is not on SAP's reporting landscape, meaning they are not using Datasphere, they are not using SAC. That means they are using some of the competitor products like maybe Power BI or something. Those are the first customers. It will make sense for SAP to go ahead and offer some bundle deals where they can say, as part of your S4 deal, I am giving you free licenses to SAC or BDC or all three or something like that. Currently, I don't know because BDC is very new. So currently, I have not heard of such deals. But in the past, I have heard about deals like whenever the customer was moving from ECC to S4 HANA through RISE with SAP and so on. Even in this call, someone mentioned that, right? So when they have bundle deals like that, they'll say that for 1 year or for 2 years or for 3 years, you can use 25 licenses in SAC for free, and you can use Datasphere for free. So the idea is in those 1, 2, or 3 years, the customers will build a lot of objects, right? And then they cannot move away easily from that. So then down the line, they'll start paying for that, right? So yes, so to answer you, are the customers in SAC entitled for a free BDC? No.
Okay,
And
thank you.
just to add on that, SAP said that they will provide tools going forward. Whoever is using standalone Datasphere and SAC tenants for now, in future they will be providing tool to migrate to BDC.
Yeah.
Hi Ram, there is another term SAP Business AI that is available on the I think SAP Marketplace. Is it part of this SAP BDC or it is a separate product?
So SAP Business AI is SAP's strategic move, right? So they have a couple of business AI products. So one of the predominant feature is this Joule, which is like a horizontal now that cuts across all their product lines, right? And then they have inside BTP, they already had something called as AI Core, where we used to run traditional machine learning. And now they have also included inside the AI core something called generative AI hub, where we have all these LLMs, like OpenAI, Google Gemini, Claude, and all these models, right? So these are some of, I mean, there is a course on learning.sap.com that introduces the SAP's business AI. So if you go into the business AI, you will find all these details. So if I show you this screen, so I'll maybe ping in the chat also. So if you go here, and when they say business AI, what do they mean by that? So here they'll explain it. Basically, in all their products, especially in their suite, which is S4HANA, the suite of applications. So they are introducing some AI capabilities, and mainly it is via Joule. And in the backend, it could be powered by AI Core or generative AI Hub and so on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Bye.